Alright, so today I'm going to be doing the ball joints on my 1990 F250 here. This is the four-wheel drive model with the twin traction beam front suspension, and more specifically the Dana 44 HD axle, which we can tell by this hub here. So the first step is going to be to jack this thing up and get it off the ground. So now that we have this thing up in the air, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is wiggle the wheel and try and rock it back and forth in this direction. So grab the top and the bottom and really shake it. See if you can hear or feel any movement. And that'll tell you if your ball joints are bad. And then you're also going to want to do the same from both sides. So grab either side and try and rock the wheel back this way as if it were to steer. And that'll tell you if your tie rod end is bad. Now, if both of those are bad, you got play in all directions, that's probably your wheel bearing. So next, we're going to pop this wheel off and start taking everything apart. So now with that wheel off, we can see in here, and you can see the upper ball joint right here, and then the lower ball joint down here. So we're going to be doing both of those. And first things first is we're going to want to take off this brake caliper. Now this comes off super easily with a punch. All you want to do is use a punch to slide these slides out on both the top and the bottom here, and that'll pop right off, and then we'll hang that out of the way. Over here we have the tie rod right here, and so we're going to remove that guy as well. So we're going to take off this cotter pin and then that castle nut, and then use a block of wood with a hammer to pound that off. So my main issue here is memory steer, and I did the ball joints a few years ago, but this hub here is really stiff and never really loosened back up. So if you have an issue with memory steer, you should be able to feel it now, where this whole hub is just really difficult to move back and forth, like you're turning, and it's just binding up. So what we're going to do here to get to the ball joints and remove those is remove this entire hub assembly here. So to do that, we're going to take off all these Allen keys here, and then I'll show you how to remove the actual hub assembly itself. So once you get those bolts off, this will essentially just slide right off. And you'll see in here, there's one splined section that is held in by one small screw here. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. So be careful not to lose that screw, because there's a spring behind here, and you can see this will slide out as well as the spring. And then there's a snap ring in there, which we're going to remove as well, this guy right here. So once you get those removed, there is a clip inside here, which is a little bit hard to see, but it's right down in here, which we're going to remove with a series of picks. Now this can be a little bit difficult. Like I said, I like to use picks and try and just get underneath it, and then pull it all the way around until it pops out. Once you get that off, you can kind of slide this whole assembly off all together. So next, there's one nut in the middle here that has to be removed using this special tool. I think I got this at Napa for about 20 bucks, but this one is specifically for the Dana 44 HD. So as you can see, this slips right in there, and then those 4 teeth will sit right into place onto that nut there, and we can take it off. Once you get that nut removed, you can pretty much just slide the whole hub assembly off, and then we're going to go ahead and remove all these nuts to remove this brake guard here. So once you get that spindle and brake guard off of there, the next thing you're going to want to do is remove the entire front CV axle here. The way I did this was, rather than taking it out of the diff itself, I just cut the hose clamps off both sides of this rubber boot here, and then slid this spline section apart here from the other half there, and was able to pull the entire thing out through that hole with a little bit of persuasion. So now that that's out, we're going to go ahead and remove this nut up top here, as well as the one on the bottom down there. Now is a good time to also mark your alignment bushing here, which you can see I did in white, just so that you can put it back to the same spot or close to it. You'll probably want to get an alignment afterwards anyway, but it's nice to be able to drive to the alignment shop without a wheel that's crazy out of alignment. Now to get this knuckle unbolted here, it's really important that you jack up on the bottom of the knuckle here as high as you can, or just as enough to get it completely off the jack stand, because you want the best chance possible to remove that nut from inside of there, as well as on top here, without that ball joint spinning. Now you can see in there is a slot for, you know, a flathead screwdriver or something to hold that in place, but the way I did this was I removed it with a socket, and you want to put it back on with a socket as well. So Just make sure you jack it up all the way, and that'll hopefully put enough resistance on the ball joint itself and keep that seized on there so that way you can break that nut loose on both the top and the bottom. Now to get this knuckle removed, unless you're really lucky, this thing is not going to come off without a fight. So what I recommend is throw a jack stand right underneath the axle here, just so it's not hitting on the bump stops, and then give this knuckle a huge whack with a big hammer, and I mean big. Don't be shy, because that's pretty much the only way you're going to get this thing off, and it should pop free. So when you go to remove the ball joints, we're going to do the lower first here. You want to remove this snap ring, obviously, from here. And then we're also going to probably remove that grease zerk as well, just so that the tool can get in there. Alright, so that snap ring didn't come off without a fight, so I basically chiseled it off, carefully going around to make sure all the pieces were gone. Then I hit it real quick with a wire brush, and I'll spray some penetrating oil on this seam as well. But you can see here I have the ball joint press in place. This one I rented from AutoZone. You can do this for free. I think it was like 120 bucks, and then when you return it, you just get the entire deposit back. So it's free to use, but yeah, essentially this is how I have it rigged up here. We're just gonna throw an impact on the end and send it home. Hopefully it comes out. So I got that lower ball joint out, didn't take too much, and it pretty much just popped right off. So we're gonna go ahead and do the upper here, pretty much the same process. Obviously you have to do the bottom one first so that this can fit through the bottom. And I got a sleeve here and the end here, and then the top of it is poking all the way through, so we should be able to take this off the same way. So as you can see here, I just got this thing all cleaned up and ready to press in the new ball joints. I just used a series of different wire wheels and wire brushes just to make sure everything was completely clean. And this is super important just to make sure that you don't have any sort of binding and these ball joints slip in correctly. That way you don't have any memory steer or any issues like that. So I'll show you how I'm going to press the new ball joints in as well. Alright, so I have the top ball joint going in first. You can see here is the ball joint. And then it came with this installation adapter tool, which is really nice. That fits right on top. And then obviously the same ball joint press on the bottom here. Here's the spacer, and then the cup it came with as well. That way we make sure that this can go all the way through without hitting on the back side here. So we're going to go ahead and just tighten this all down, and it should press it into place. All right, so that top one pressed in fairly easily. And then for the lower here, this is the setup. Pretty much same deal. Cup, spacer here, back there, and then this was the installation adapter it came with, and then I'm also using the one from the upper as well, just to give me a little bit more clearance to clear the boot on the ball joint here. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and tighten this all up and press it in. All right, so we got the lower all installed here as well. Again, everything pressed in all the way and flush. And then I went ahead and installed the grease zerks it came with. Now I'm using Mevotech TTX ball joints. They didn't send me these or anything, but I got them on Rock Auto, and they're supposedly an upgraded, heavier duty version of the OEM ones, so time will tell, and we'll see how well these hold up. But it's real nice that they include these grease zerks on there, because then we can actually grease them, unlike the factory ones. So now back on the truck here, I made sure to clean up both of these holes as well as I could, just to get all the rust off and make sure there's no corrosion or anything for the ball joints to bind on when we press them in here. So they're looking pretty good, so we should have no issues there. And then I'm also going to put a new adjustable camber bushing in here in the top here, and I'll show you how I do that. So that's all installed in there. It's pretty straightforward. It just drops right in. So long as you clean everything off well enough, it should at least drop in. And this one's cool because it's adjustable. You don't have to actually take the whole thing out and rotate it. You just have to move this top part there, which is nice. I think Moog makes this guy, but I also put a bunch of copper anti-seize in between the bushing itself and the I-beam here, or the traction beam here, axle housing, just to make sure that that doesn't get seized in there and it comes out easily the next time. So now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and throw the knuckle back on the truck. All right, so I got this thing all installed here. Everything's torqued to spec, and there's no binding. As you can see, this is a lot easier to move compared to last time. So yeah, that's all set. Now when you go to install this thing, you have to follow this torque sequence. You want to throw Loctite 242 or equivalent on the bottom ball joint threads. In my case, those Mevotech ones already came with a Loctite on the threads there, so I didn't bother doing that. And then tighten it to 35 to 40 foot-pounds. And then once you do the upper, have the upper in there, make sure you have this camber nut set where you want it. And then you can go ahead and tighten the upper to 85 to 100 foot-pounds. And then tighten the bottom again to 95 to 100 foot-pounds. Now, if you don't follow this, you may get issues with memory steer, which in my case, I followed that and we're all good here. So next up here, I'm gonna clean all these parts off for the hub assembly. That way they're ready to go all back together with fresh grease. All right, so I got all these guys cleaned up here. Cleaned up pretty nice and they're ready for fresh grease. This surface here where the seal rests was super dirty, so I cleaned it up with a little bit of super clean. That stuff worked really well to cut through all the grease and grime and get that surface nice and smooth and ready for the new seal. So next up here, I'm going to be replacing this assembly here. There was a seal and then a thrust washer that was on here as well. I just pulled those right off. But this backing plate also came in the kit, which I'll show you as well. So to get that off, I'm going to hit these edges with a hammer here and maybe even stick a screwdriver or a chisel in between the yoke and the backing plate here, and hopefully it pops right off. All right, that popped off super easily. I just stuck the chisel right in between the yoke and the back plate there, and it popped right off. So now I'm gonna go ahead and heat the new one of these up super hot. That way it expands as much as possible, and hopefully we can install it nice and easily. It'd be ideal if I could freeze this shaft as well, although it's too long right now and it won't fit in my freezer, so we're not gonna do that. But if it is cold enough outside, or you have a freezer big enough, definitely good to freeze this just so that it contracts ever so slightly and the hot bearing can slide right on. So I actually just cleaned up this surface here with a little bit of super clean and put a little bit of RTV gasket maker on there just so that when we slide the new backing plate on, no water can leak around into our bearings. So believe it or not, after heating this thing up to about 350 degrees, it slid right on with no hammering or anything. Now that it's cool, it's nice and stuck on there. And we got the RTV in there to make sure that there's no leaks. So before I go ahead and grease this, install the new thrust washer and seal, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this back in the truck just so that way we can make sure that everything is nice and clean before we put it all back together and grease it all. So I got this axle shaft all installed. I made sure to clean up the splines and grease those as well before I put them in. So now here, what I'm gonna do, like I said, is just clean up this surface really good, make sure there's no dust or dirt or debris with a little bit of super clean. And then this guy, which also came in the kit, the sort of thrust washer, is gonna go on with this groove facing in, so just like that. And then on top of that, we have the seal as well, which I'll put a little bit of grease on this inner surface here, a little bit on the back, and then make sure to coat this outer surface as well, as that is where it's going to be sealing against. And then this kit also came with an inner seal for the hub as well, and then a bearing. I'm not going to use the bearing because the bearing that came in this kit doesn't look to be a reputable name brand, and the ones that are in there are not bad, and those are good quality. So we're going to throw all this back together with all these new parts. So I'm gonna get to cleaning all this stuff up. So I got that hub all installed there. Make sure that you don't forget the seal on the back side here, as well as the rotor guard, as that goes in between. That goes together pretty straightforward. And then over here on the hub itself, I have a new seal for the back side here. So we're just gonna remove that by using a screwdriver just to pry it out. And then we're also gonna take all this old grease out of the inside and replace it with some new grease. Now, normally I would replace the wheel bearings as well, but those I actually did not too long ago. So those are still good. We're gonna leave those. Just gonna do the seal one more time because it's cheap enough on Rock Auto. And of course, replace all the grease. So I got this spindle all cleaned off here. I made sure to get rid of all the buildup around the mating surface with the seal there. And then over here in the hub, this is pretty straightforward. We're just packing it with grease, wheel bearing as well. Once you get that seal out, this should just pop out. If you're replacing this, you can also do the outer race there. You want to make sure you use a brass punch when you do that, so that way it doesn't damage the new race. And then that inside groove, we want to take all that grease out, pack that up real nice with fresh grease, bearing as well. If you have the grease tool for the bearing, that helps. If not, I just use my hands. And then we're going to go ahead and throw this new seal in. Probably going to do that by placing this like that and then using the old seal to press it into place. So now that we got that new seal in and everything greased up, this hub can go back on and everything can go back together inside here pretty much the way it came apart. So once you get the bearing retainer, and then the locking nut in there, we're going to go ahead and tighten that locking nut to 70 foot-pounds just to seat the bearing while kind of moving the hub back and forth here, just to make sure everything is seated in place. Then after we torque it to 70 foot-pounds, we're going to back it off 90 degrees and then retighten it 15 to 20 foot-pounds. So while you're going through torquing this stuff, you want to make sure that you're pressing on the back side of your torque wrench here just to apply pressure and kind of release those splines from locking against each other. That way the torque doesn't get messed up or anything and you get an accurate reading. And once you're done with all that stuff, your hub still should rotate freely with little resistance, and there shouldn't be any play or anything like that. So now that I'm all done with this, I'm going to go ahead and put a light coat of grease on everything inside of here and put it all back together. So I've been driving with these new ball joints for a little while now. You can see they're holding up pretty well. I'm feeling pretty good about these Muvotech ball joints still. I would definitely recommend them. It seems like the outside boot is made of pretty good material, and then I like how they have sort of like a purge valve on top, so if you put too much grease in them, it'll just start coming out the top instead of out the sides or anything like that. But I think the most important thing is that they're greasable, and they seem like they're heavy duty enough to where they're not going to wear out right away. But again, time will tell. One other thing I did was I made sure to get this truck aligned so that way the camber is set properly, and I was actually able to get it just right before I took it there, and they didn't have to adjust it anymore, but at least now I know that that is all set correctly. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.